I'm going to move right back over here because for the first time ever, I'm taller than these four guys. I'll take every opportunity. Before I want to thank, remember I said I'm going to have to read it, I apologize so I don't miss anyone, all of the folks who helped put this together. We have an incredible planning committee, and I'm going to do something I promised I wouldn't do, which is insert myself in every part of the dialogue, because this is intended to be provocative, idea-generating, and action-oriented. And if you have the elected official in the room who takes on one issue or another, then it appears as if that's the issue du jour, and that's not the purpose of today. But I really appreciate a couple of things. One, if you notice in the brochure about the summit, we absolutely had acequia and ag and tribal communities as part of the agenda. So if it felt like it was left out, it wasn't. At the last minute, we didn't get those speakers, but that means that more to come, and our effort is meant to be inclusive. There's no bad idea, and there's a recognition that we have a productive, in many ways, complicated, which isn't always productive, in terms of ownership issues and legal issues, but to ignore them is not productive. So I really appreciate everyone that had the courage to raise that on several occasions. That's useful and helpful, and it tells us that we were on the right path by making sure that was part of the overall agenda. And this is going to get me into trouble with every government lawyer, except that arguably I was one, so I think maybe I have some impunity. Two things. Clearly, there are lots of things that we can do to make the anti-donation clause, which is basically a constitutional protection provision that says, we're not going to take your tax dollars and give them back to Dale Decker. We're going to find other ways to do that. And I tease Dale all the time, but it's a protective mechanism. However, lawyers have a tendency, because it's easier as a lawyer for a government entity not to take any risk, to be very narrow, to focus right there, because you're rarely wrong when you do that, and we lawyers like to win. So push back. As a former county commissioner, push back hard. And as a former cabinet secretary, that advice is usually produced for you in a fashion, because you're their client, to make sure that you never, ever, ever have any liability. That would mean you would never get out of bed. So I just say that to you because there's lots of room without having to change the Constitution with a law, and we should learn from states who have been more productive, and if there are constitutional changes that are part of this effort, then we should be brave enough and courageous enough to deal with them. And I want to say thank you for being a local elected official. That's hard work, and it's great work. All right, so now let me thank my group, and then I promise, because it's after 5, I'm going to do just 2 minutes, if even that, and I need my glasses, because I told you that Congress has made me go blind. So, Carrie, you were great. I want everyone to thank, and if you'll hold your applause till the end, Dr. Carrie Howe, Bruce Thompson, Rick Sheehan, Mark Sanchez, and I've never asked you if I get your last name right, which is it Krishnamurthy? I don't believe you, but I'll take that. Todd Vizio, Sam Fernald, Stephanie Cuzio. This diverse group was the planning committee, and I want to thank them because this was not easy to do, and without your efforts, we could never have done it. So now, a round of applause for all those fabulous folks and the presenters. So here are my 2 minutes. I hope that we're not going to be so incremental, thank you, Adrian, that we don't get anything done. I mean, the travesty and the tragedy of this effort is that it looks like it's too difficult and too slow to see tangible results. With that said, and taking courage, and I really appreciate Howard and Sandia Labs for putting out what absolutely, if we don't have some sort of controversial response, then we may not be thinking of every issue that's available to us. And this is intended to be provocative and kind of a living example of all of the opportunities to do these 3 things so that we're not so risk adverse. And speaking from experience, that's something that's wrong with Congress, is that we are so risk adverse, we don't get anything done. And we shouldn't be reckless with our investments, but we shouldn't feel like we're bound to anything that doesn't allow us to make real progress. So I don't think those things are mutually exclusive. So here's what my takeaway is. In addition to the fact that we've got lots of ideas. One, we want to protect New Mexico consumers. No question about that. That has to be at the forefront of everything that we do. Two, we want to look at water technology and innovation and have that both drive the protection for future generations, but also create economic development opportunities. And we want to keep innovating, which means that we want to continue to invest in technology that gives us even more opportunities for the future. So I'm excited about that, and I'm hoping that this becomes a regular, so we want to do an annual event, but that's too long in between. So my office will work on a process that doesn't look like government, that is more fast-paced, that encourages the development of these ideas and a tangible return on your investments by working with us. Because I have no doubt that New Mexico can get it right, and that we can be the startup state for the United States, and that we do have incredible resources at our disposal that we don't quite use in the most meaningful way. Thank you for staying the whole day. This is one of my best days because I get to be with my colleagues and my friends. I get to learn something which is valuable to me as a policymaker, and I feel good about where we can go from here. I hope you feel the same way. Thank you for your participation today, and thank you for all your energy and effort. Have a great week.